Some people have asked me to show a bit of how the archaeological sausage is made, so I'm here working in Context 30 with Alawi and others, and I thought I'd talk about how this works. We've got a very large building. It's the Temple of Ishtar. We're moving towards the Temple of Ninurta. And we know how the building collapsed. Essentially, the upper walls came in and hit the floor first. That's what I call lower collapse because it's lower now in our stratigraphy. And then the rest of the walls start to collapse on top. And that's what I'm calling upper collapse, but it's really middle of the building. We're in that lower collapse now beneath some of the intact walls, and it's filled with mud brick as well as baked brick, and that's very hard. So we have to use picks. In many sites, picks just don't get used because they can damage things, but here you can't move it without a pick. So we use picks and trowels, and it depends on the context. As it gets down towards the floor, we start moving with the trowels, but we're always watching for what's coming out as we strike in on and move fallen brick. We're looking for brick that's in place to make sure we know where the walls are. We think we know where they are, but sometimes they turn in odd ways. And any artifacts that might be in that collapse area, because things do fall either from upper stories or from the roof.
I often say that archaeology involves all of the senses. Most obvious is sight, since you're constantly looking at the soil for contents and changes in color, etc. But there's also touch, since you can feel the strength of the deposit, the compaction of the soil as you move slowly through it with your tools. Then there's sound. This too reflects the type of soil you're digging through and the number of inclusions. It sounds off with each strike of the pick and each scrape of the trowel. Smell can come into play too, since charred, wet, or dry soil will smell differently. The least affected, perhaps, is taste, but smell and taste are connected. Plus, old-timers in the field used to tell me that putting an artifact of unknown material to your tongue could tell you something. Not from the taste, but whether or not it stuck a bit, indicating porosity. And of course, it's hard not to swallow a little dirt when you're digging for hours on end.
All right, here's what I'm digging with these various tools. I'm cutting 10 to 15 centimeters away, and this is all fallen brick, so it's very hard. Here's a good example of one that's fallen. It's at an odd angle, and so this is how I know that I can just tear through these. We've already established that this is the destruction layer that collapsed inside the building, and I am above the courtyard, which you can see over there, by about a meter. So I'm still just piling away at this, making pass after pass to cut it down towards the floor. So, mud brick pick here. It's a bit heavier. I can pull those out. This is a lighter pick, and I can use it for neat detail. And then, of course, a trowel and a brush. There we go.
وجهك جيب قسمه من هناك مو قاد على العمال تعال اطلع من هنا هذا تجي ويا عدنان لا جيب قسمه وجيب عدنان هذا قال نافك قسمه زينه استاذ مجبل قولوا لا يحكي شويه مجبل لا تحكي واحد اسحبها تعال
So we look for all of that, we get down farther, and this site is different from many of the sites I've worked where we have a whole lot of sherds and not much carbon for carbon-14 samples. Here it's the opposite. We get not many sherds at all, and we get a whole lot of carbon. And that's because the building burned in 612 BCE, and we know that when things burn, the roof beams, etc., they're going to leave a lot of carbon in that collapse. So, I hope this fills in a little bit of the gaps. I'll show a bit more of our trench. We are above the floor, of course, and still coming down to find the south gate chambers. That's the north gate chamber over there, or the north portion of the gate chamber, and we've got the south wall now.
I hope you've enjoyed this look into the process of excavation, and that you'll join me again next time on Artifactually Speaking.